It is my pleasure to welcome in for the first time officially as he started July 1 of this year, the new commissioner of the Wyoming High School Activities Association, Trevor Wilson. And have you gotten used to people saying that? I know I talked to you back in the spring about you're getting ready to transition, but is it finally sunk in that you're the head guy now?
I mean, not really. I mean, obviously it feels a little different, but it feels like we're doing the same thing, a little bit different staff. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool, but at the same time, we're still doing our thing and trying to do what we can for kids. So
Talk a little bit about what should people know about your direction, your philosophy. Is much going to change?
I don't. I mean, we've changed a little bit internally as a staff, but as far as philosophy, it's very similar to Ron. There might be some minor tweaks here and there. We're going to adjust our student leadership program. My assistant Chad Whitworth is in charge of that, and he's working through some of those things. With staffing wise, we made a few changes. Number one, we're outsourcing our financials just because we felt like we needed to. We were struggling to find that position when Diane Rodriguez left. She was in our office for 30 some years and did an awesome job. And when she left, we just struggled to find a replacement. So we've done that, and then hired a couple part-time folks. Mike Maloney is our director of officiating, and he'll do a great job. And then Brent Rose will be our director of fine arts and activities to kind of take that piece that Diane had that we don't have now in our office. So those two guys obviously have still a full-time job at Kelly Walsh and Cheyenne Central, but we feel like so far it's working very well with each of those two.
What do you kind of foresee early on as some things you want to get going here as we start the fall season?
Well, I think the biggest thing is one, we need to get our student leadership program developed and get that moving forward. Lots of schools are asking. And then number two is just to continue the service organization. That was Ron's biggest thing. We're going to help our schools. We're here for them. And these last 2 weeks, it's been lots of phone calls. All is good, but we're flying around right now, especially with one less staff person in our office. But we're going to continue the same things. We're going to be here for our schools. That's what we do, and I don't think there's going to be a lot of changes that way.
When as you put Chad in charge of this new student leadership, what do you want to see tweaked, done differently? Things that you learned that were positive, and maybe you want to change.
Yeah, and there was nothing wrong with Join the Ride. Was great. It did a great thing for our state. It's just time. If there's ever time for a change, I think it's run its course a little bit.
Yeah.
And we feel like now we're going to still stick with a student leadership program, but it's going to be a little less focus on sportsmanship and more about student leadership and citizenship and some of those aspects, where we can just grow these young students that we have. Again, there will be some sportsmanship stuff to it, but it won't be specializing on sportsmanship.
How would you characterize the state of Wyoming high school sports right now from your perspective? You've been around it now for a long time, but now you're taking the leadership post head on. How would you kind of characterize where we're at in the state?
Well, I think we're in great shape, and I think we have great schools. I think we have great administrators, great coaches. In fact, I think they're the best, and we're small, 70 schools now with dropping the two schools. Like I'm drawing a blank. They drop in,
Water and Glendale.
yeah, Chugwater and Glendale. Thank you. That wasn't that hard, but 70 schools deep, and again, we have great people. We all try to work together, and I think with the common goal to do what's best for kids. So I think we're in great shape. Listen to, we go to our summer meeting every summer, and some of those states deal with. I mean, their executive directors are in court more than they're in their office. And knock on wood, we're in good shape, and again, we just have great people.
Are there any challenges in front of the WHSAA right now?
I think the one that we'll continue just to modify our transfer rules, and we're going to hold to them as long as we can. The NCAA is not helping us much with their portal that they have going. I know that there's going to be some legislation coming out. I don't know what that looks like. I have no idea, but that may help us. But not some of our schools, some of our parents feel like we have the same policy, and obviously we do not. We don't go that route. Name, image, and likeness, we'll continue to monitor that. I was really thinking we should probably have a policy, but then listening this summer to some folks in other states, it's just a lot more headaches with the policies because no one's really sure what exactly we should or shouldn't be doing. And again, we're just going to kind of ride it out, stick with our current rules, and then see if something comes out of legislation that allows us to have a more clear path to how to navigate through that. Those are the two. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, is that a big challenge right now? I mean, I know it kind of got brought up a little bit in the spring meetings.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's a challenge. It's just we want to make sure we don't, whatever we do, we don't put kids in a bad spot. I mean, I think that most of us feel like they should be able to earn something off their name, image, and likeness. And for the most part, our kids aren't going to earn millions. They're not going to get the Nike endorsements or the, Arch Manning, whatever he's getting, millions and millions of dollars. But I do think it would be nice to help the kids. I just don't know. Whatever we put in place, we can't make them ineligible because of our amateur status. So that's the whole balancing act right now that we have to navigate through.
Are there any major pressing issues you feel that you've got to address with the state, whether it's leadership or whatever right now?
No, not really. I think we're in good shape. As you know, we'll have to start once we get those average daily membership numbers from the state. We'll start putting those together, and then, as you know, beginning next year, we'll start our new reclass cycle with the new arrangement that we have. So that'll be a change, and that'll be, we'll have to work through that. We got to work on football schedules again for the next 2 years. But those are some things. As far as leadership, I think we're in great shape. I love our working group, superintendents, principals, activities directors, school boards associations. I think we have a great working relationship with all those folks. And a lot of that's based on what Ron's developed in the last 19 years.
So is that maybe the biggest piece of the reclass is scheduling maybe more for basketball and everything, because you're going to only have 15 in the big school class versus an even number, and how that is that kind of the next hurdle is getting through all that scheduling. So it's not going to impact this year for folks. It's starting next school year.
Yeah,
but you got to get through all that this year.
Yeah, that's right. And really, until we get those numbers, I mean, in theory, it looks like 15 will be in 4A. It's 700 and above. So I think that's the plan. But until we get those numbers, we just don't know how many schools are going to be in each class officially. So we need to get those in place, let our schools know, and then we can start working on, because there's going to be some, our board of directors just simply states who's in what class, but we don't really get into conferencing. So schools might have to have some meetings that we'll help organize, just in case it looks like, maybe east-west isn't a balance. So maybe we have to look at north-south. I just don't know. Until we get the schools in place, we just don't know what that looks like right now.
Gotcha. Lastly, I'm going to let you have the floor, Trevor, in terms of maybe a message to fans and parents and schools out there. What kind of what you want to put forth to them in terms of philosophically or just leadership wise, what you want to see here in the next year.
Yeah, I mean, nothing big or different. Just we want to, if there's anybody out there that is interested in officiating, please let us know. I mean, we're always in need of good people that want to be involved and give back to kids. And then I would say, from a fan perspective, just do your best to be a quality citizen, enjoy the game, watch your kids play. We don't need people yelling at the referees or causing a scene. That gives a bad name, not only to our association, but your school. Put your kid in a bad spot. So just be good fans, enjoy the game, and we'll all be better off for that.
And the officials piece it's teetering on the brink of dire need, isn't it?
Yeah, it is in certain sports. And we did a decent job last year. Our numbers went up, in most of our sports. So it's not like we still need to go up and up and up. And Dave, this will be a topic of conversation in 30 years when neither one of us are doing this, but we'll always be in need of officials, because it's a tough job. And especially when they're getting grief from fans or coaches or whomever. But I do think, for the most part, our coaches and our kids do a great job. It's just sometimes our spectators get a little out of perspective.
Well, and I would, and this is not you, this is me and my opinion, and everybody can hold it to me, but I just think if you're going to be critical of officials, why don't you try your hand at that job and see how you
Yeah.
like dealing with all that. That's my perspective, not
Hey,
yours.
I like it.
That's just my perspective. My dad was a longtime official. I started as an official before I got into more full-time sports radio. I just think it's more of a challenge than people realize.
I
And
agree.
I kind of have a little hidden space in my heart for
Yeah,
officials who's got to deal with it. I've got a family member who's an official in this state right now. So
yeah,
I just challenge anybody who, if you're overly critical, why don't you go out there and try and do it? And I think the other thing is, you mentioned about the numbers. People don't realize it's not just the varsity contests that need the
no,
officials, it's the under levels. And if you want to keep
yeah.
all these extra opportunities for student athletes, they need some help.
Very, very good point. And those under levels go all the way down to middle school. So, I mean, we're refereeing fifth, sixth grade basketball games all the way up to varsity games. So that's exactly right. We need as many people as we can. And again, if you have anybody out there, if you know of anybody, feel free to call our office and we'll get you headed in the right direction.
Well, Trevor, thanks so much for the time, and have fun in your first year as the leader.
All right, Dave, thanks for the chat, and I appreciate all you do for us.